Thank you for sharing this space. Being present today, you all look so beautiful, vibrant, and pristine. I'm excited to engage and contribute to this dialectic around belonging and lineage at this year's Show and Prove Conference at BCR's 10th Anniversary Festival. My name is Jaeya Bayani, and I'm a senior pursuing a music business major, as well as a double minor in hip-hop studies and pre-law studies here at Columbia. The paper that I'll be presenting to you all today is entitled Black Filipinx Solidarity, History and Hip-Hop Culture. Before I continue, however, I'd like to open with two quotes, one from Lenny Strobel about the meaning of kapwa, or the self and the other, indigenous Philippine psychology and culture, and one by Audre Lorde from The Master's Tools Will Never Dismantle the Master's House. These two quotes are ones I've continued to go back to in reflecting on the purpose behind my creative practice, and they succinctly express the paper's central theme of mutual regard, which is a concept coined by writer Patrick Rizal in his paper Mutual Regard, a love letter for the origins of Black Filipino resistance. You and I are one. There is not other. You and I are connected. You and I are connected to the divine within. Lenny Strobel. Without community, there is no liberation. Audre Lorde. I started writing this research paper to connect with the legacy my family and my ancestors left with me, of song, dance, spoken and written words, and multimedia expression. I wanted to reflect on the kindred spirit that many first and second generation Filipinx like my father found in hip hop, a genre that's undoubtedly rooted in Black culture, especially in the Bay Area, California. I wondered what was the shared history of camaraderie between our community and the Black community that seems to be either ignored or exploited. And I sought to uncover and understand the complexities between not just the Black and Filipinx communities' moments of alliance and divide and conquer, but also their creative push, pull, and enmeshment. One question that's become the core of this paper is, how can we build mutual regard between the Black and Filipinx community through creativity while dissolving toxic practices of erasure and appropriation? A parallel was found in two cultures replanting their seeds and remixing traditions, practices, and principles that were the result of deracination at imperialism's hands. The solidarity of our Black and brown voices embodies needs to be given and take up space in all their nuances. And documenting our stories is crucial, but what's even more important is finding the courage to build an ethic of love and understanding between our communities. The next step is the remembrance through action that's imperative to radical love, which is the highest form of mutual understanding. The love Filipinx have for hip hop is best articulated by Joy Ng in her essay Sacred Spaces and Locked Gates. As Filipinx American and Chinese American youth, we were learning about Black and Latinx pioneer b-boys in New York, such as Ken Swift. We were listening to b-boy classics, studying the beats and rhythms, while pouring into a sketchbook that was wrapped in pearl arts and craft supplies. We were deeply enamored by a culture of creativity that came from Black and brown creators, DJs, b-boys, graffiti artists, and MCs. It gave us something to look up to, a reason to get excited, and a way to express ourselves. We loved it. Although I wish I could share this entire paper with you all today, this next excerpt is from the shared history section of the essay, also known as Know Your You. The alliance between the Black and Filipinx American communities weaves through the Philippine insurrection, which occurred from 1899 to 1913, the civil rights era, and the golden era of hip-hop. Their bond is built on shared issues of colorism, colonial oversimplification of culture, and discrimination perpetuated by surrounding ethnic groups. Unfortunately, this history is often left out of conventional history books as well as pre-college and university school curriculums, which consequently breeds divisiveness and misunderstanding between not just our communities, but many intersecting Black and brown communities. And when it comes to repairing this relationship, Filipinx and Filipinx American folks have the responsibility to promote borrowing without appropriation, humility over hubris, and consciousness over colorblindness, and respectfully approaching hip-hop culture as a guest and as a community member. From Buffalo soldiers such as David Fagan and Black leaders disillusioned with the Philippine-American War to civil rights activists who fought to end race-based immigration, the Black and Filipinx community are continuously building on a legacy of complex allyship and occasional stretches of misguided enmity. Before I move into this next section, I'd like to present a couple of songs that are deeply tied to this paper and had completions that were somewhat coterminous with finishing the first iteration of this paper. This first song is called 510, and it was really trying to tie in growing up in Fremont, California, which the 510 area code is associated with, growing up on Casio Circle, and kind of putting that into a verbal cipher and investigating this concept of a circle with the song. So my original plan was to perform it for you all, but I feel like it'll be a little bit difficult, and I feel like it fits the setup of this conference more to just share the song with you. So here you go. That came from my very first project called Bayani, which is my last name, and it pays homage to growing up as a Filipino American and also being influenced by hip hop culture. And so that's really why I wanted to share that first song with you all. This next section I'm going to move into is called Black Culture's Influence on the Filipinx. The Filipino community's identity is deeply rooted in its colonization from Spain and the US, thus fostering an attachment to Black culture, especially when it came to fundamental aspects of hip-hop. Filipinx people, through US military bases, local radio stations, and various other mediums of music sharing, discovered a kindred voice in the familiar emotional depth of disco, funk, Motown soul, and rap. Filipinx Americans, riding on the coattails of Black Americans, pioneered the mobile DJ crew movement of the 60s and 70s, which Oliver Wing carefully documents in his influential book, Legions of Boom, Filipino American Mobile DJ Crews in the San Francisco Bay Area, Prefiguring American Music. They began to take over DJs of DJ crews, including DJ Babu and the Beat Junkies in Los Angeles, and Cuttin' Candy, a Filipino DJ and pioneer of the 5th Platoon in Queens, New York. There was also DJ Qbert, DJ Shortcut, DJ Apollo, DJ Disc, Yoga Frog, and D-Style, the Invisible Scratch Pickles. And even then, our cultural forefathers were inspired by the creative genius of bebop jazz musicians like Miles Davis and Dizzy Gillespie. The heavy influence of Black music was evident in the Filipinx DJ styles, and they clung to a history they could relate to, although it did not originate as their own. The spaces that fostered some of these connections between the Filipinx and Black communities were Philippine Culture Nights, or PCNs, community events that often embedded elements of hip-hop or R&B into their programs through selected talent or choreography. They were a safe but competitive environment for underrepresented creatives of all kinds, such as DJs, b-boys and b-girls, MCs, graph artists, to express themselves in a constructive, positive way. PCNs were especially prevalent in the 1970s and 1980s at California State University, San Francisco State, Santa Clara University, and all the University of California college campuses, which have some of the highest state populations of Filipinx and Asian folks. PCNs are multifaceted events that typically include the following more or less: the national anthem of the Philippines, traditional music and dance, and skits relaying the Filipinx American experience, as well as the overall essence of young kids trying to close the cultural gap between them and their regionally diverse heritage. As one of the pillars of hip-hop, true knowledge of one's roots is necessary to tackle issues, not only today, but tomorrow. As familiars with storytelling through bodies, Filipinx folks gravitated towards hip-hop dance. The rape, pillaging, and indigenous genocide brought by colonial Spain robbed Filipinx folks of their names, who were renamed pintados, or painted ones. They were robbed of their native wild-style writing, their hair, and their pride in their brown skin. Filipinx warriors expressed resistance, which was symbolized by their own body rock and top rock in the ancient Philippine martial arts forms of estocada, pangamot, kuntao, and kali, as well as an unconscious inclination towards the uprock and popping aesthetic subtly present in tinikling and baglalipik, respectively. An oppressive history marred by military dictatorship and martial law repeatedly presented itself in the movement of Filipinx folks. Now, before I move into this next section that touches more on hip-hop, the Bay Area breaking Filipinx, I'd like to also share this next song, which is titled Believe Me, and similar to 510, it's also about growing up in the Bay Area and being inspired by both of these cultures and naming more specific influences on my craft. And Mike is also going to put some graphics up on the screen that my uncle Mikey Disco was kind enough to share with me that represents what the Bay Area was like when him and my dad in their youth.
Handling my life, man, efficient, but I
follow through for you. Screaming tax dollars kill cause you wrote it and it's true. Teaching them culture, we won't stop till we do. We won't stop till we do. From the bay to the shore, we won't stop till we do. We won't stop till we do. Both of those songs mean a lot, and especially mean a lot to be able to share with my family, who were a big part of helping me celebrate those songs. So, moving into hip hop, the Bay Area, breaking, and the Filipinx. In the 90s, Filipinx in the Bay Area were pioneers in the hip hop old school revival, and were both members and leaders of the Universal Zulu Nation's West Coast chapters. Mikey Disco, San Francisco's Knuckleneck Tribe, one of the most influential hip-hop collectives during the early 1990s golden era, was the Zulu San Francisco chapter leader in 1996. Knuckleneck Tribe, which was 90% Filipino at the time, made up the breaking sector of FM20. Another member, Alex Aquino, preceded Disco as San Francisco chapter leader from 1991 to 93. According to Disco, Filipinos made up around 60% of Zulus in the Bay at the end of the 90s. Hip-hop isn't a monolith, from the elements it covers to the people that fall in love with it, practice it, and live it. There was Black and Filipinx kinship, or at the very least coexistence in this era of the Bay Area hip-hop scene. Whether Black or Filipinx, and despite both gatekeeping and over-commercialization, it will always be all about real hip-hop. Unlike what rap is represented as today in mainstream media, hip-hop is not a fad, but a whole culture that, yes, brings the Filipinx and Black communities together in a positive way. More importantly, it unites and is inclusive of folks from all backgrounds and abilities. Hip-hop allows Filipinx Americans, alongside Black Americans, to reflect more deeply on the nuances of their intercultural and intracultural interactions through its varied and intersecting elements. Breaking, alongside other genres of hip-hop dance, has solidified that alignment on a global scale. The World Dance Sport Federation, or the WDSF, proposed breaking as an official sport at the 2024 Paris Olympics. However, it's important to mention that the WDSF had zero affiliation with breaking when they did so, and total affiliation with ballroom dance, which appropriates and then whitewashes Black and brown social dance forms for Eurocentric dance competitions. A Vice article titled "The Battle for Breaking on the Olympic Stage" by Brendan Francis Yu revealed that the move was likely a Trojan horse to actually get ballroom dancing into the Olympics. There was also a lack of initial outreach to actual elders and pioneers in the breaking community when it was named an Olympic sport. The effect was that what should have been celebratory felt exploitative of hip-hop and its culture. Although it is a breakthrough representation for the community, its handling scoffs at the legacy of breaking pioneers and the tradition of honoring your elders in hip-hop. B-Boy Midas, a political activist and B-Boy, described WDSF and the Olympics push and breaking out as a dance sport without consulting anybody in the breaking community as agreeably unethical. We must hold the WDSF's inappropriate practices accountable and take the organization's response and the decisive silence of certain breakers quite seriously. Despite the restorative justice in the dance community that needs to occur because of this era, we must remember to acknowledge accomplishments within breaking as we address the wrongs. Breaking for a medal made its first appearance at the 2018 Youth Olympics, and breaking competitions dominated by the global Asians such as the R16 Korean World Championship, the Silverback Open, Battle of the Year, Red Bull BC1, and government-backed events in Taiwan led the way for this larger-scale inclusion. The local Union City, California crew my father joined as a teenager. Rock Force crew was actually the last U.S. crew to win Battle of the Year in 1998. My dad left the country for Germany as a teenager, where he and his crew faced off against France's The Family One. Other notable Bay Area breaking crews that were active at the time included Dice Clan, Danger Zone, Jedi Clan, Berserks, Jughead Tribe, Renegade Rockers, Dangerous Image, Steak Muppets, Floor Survivors, 360, Sidewalk Breakers, Star City Crew, and Bugler Tribe, just to name a few. Compared to the hip-hop revival in the 90s, an essence of inauthenticity has left current developments in hip-hop's mainstream dissemination as controversial for the independent, underground, and legacy hip-hop communities, with some students even arguing that we're in an era of post-hip-hop. Some advocate for generating necessary representation, while others believe it often spreads the culture's branches to non-Black creatives before they may educate themselves on the tree's roots. In other words, it places consumerism, capitalism, and quantity over community creativity, ritual, and quality. As guests, participants, and practitioners of the culture, Filipinx breakers have impacted hip-hop with their contributions of choreography, aesthetic, and innovative movement, which they insist has helped produce a meaning of their own. In comparison to other ethnic groups who identify as Asian Americans and who are often Deployed as weapons of anti-Black racism, Filipinx Americans endure similar plights with Black and Latinx folks, such as a lack of academic accessibility and representation. And despite this, Filipinx dancers often fail to unpack our privilege as non-Black people when acknowledging the generational trauma in our culture. And as mentioned before, focusing on owing our debt isn't a way to honor this Black Filipinx resistance, improvisation, intimacy, and mutual regard that we have. We're always able to be at least skeptical, even if we feel we must do what is ascribed to us. The path there is to accept the hard truths of what we've endured side by side as intertwined communities over the centuries. I do agree that love is at the center of all justice, but this type of love will be painful, uncomfortable, awkward, and ultimately healing. The oppressor's divide and conquer tactic has historically pitted Black and brown folks against each other as much as it's united us in conversations surrounding privilege, appropriation, and suppression of opinion. And now more than ever, it's crucial to find mutual understanding. Yet there are Filipinx leaders within hip-hop who recognize they need to backtrack and pay proper respect to the history of the culture they contribute their craft to. The person who most notably exemplifies this in my life is my dad. He taught me that true excellence at a craft comes with the great responsibility to remain a student of its history, pay due respect to its elders and pioneers, and not lose sight of why you love to work at your art every day. I've learned from him the value of sharing knowledge and supporting and empowering my fellow creatives. Filipinx MCs that have influenced my career as an artist, such as Ruby Ibarra, also inspire me to criticize my culture's own failings when it comes to representation, racism, elitism, and patriarchal influences. As those who've had our voices silenced, we should take it as a lesson to support the empowerment of the Black community we've been influenced and impacted by, instead of pushing them down further in a hierarchy that we, as a community, have long been tasked with dismantling.
I'll just offer a little bit of commentary. I mean, I want to leave a lot of space for Q&A and for feedback or anything of that nature.